So hi guys, it's kind of cool and drizzly out. I'm in between raindrops, I think. So I'm gonna try and do a video here real quick. I've been thinking about this all morning while I've been mowing. I'm gonna get out and walk around because I need to walk a little bit. I've been sitting on that mower bouncing around all day, which is not that much fun. I mean, it's fun to mow, but still. I've been thinking about the things that I wish I had known when I was 20 that I know now that could have really made a difference in how I thought about the world and the decisions I made as things were going on. I've got a list. And I've got one that I didn't write down on the list because it just occurred to me. And I'm going to start with that one since I didn't write it down. You'll hear people say this, and I've come to the conclusion that it's absolutely true. Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission. We have kind of a authoritarian-based society where we're kind of used to deferring to those above us, whether it's our boss, our parents, our spouse, anybody we see as being like a figurehead or in a leadership position. We kind of defer to those people for a lot of stuff. But sometimes we have ideas about things, and it's hard to describe to other people what we think the benefits of maybe trying these ideas would be, or doing a thing, whatever it might be. And sometimes, to be honest, it's just a lot easier to do what you want to do, and then if somebody has a problem with it later, you know, hey, get back here out of that. Get back here. He just found possum. Get over here. Sometimes it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission in the first place. Because a lot of times people just don't understand our vision of what we're trying to do or trying to accomplish. And I'm not saying that we should be doing this in defiance of other people, but I'm saying there are times when you have to make your own decisions and take your own actions as an independent adult. And of course, you're always responsible for the results too. So if it bombs, it's on you. But sometimes that's the only way you're going to get things done under certain circumstances. And unless it's like in defiance of something you've already agreed to with somebody, a spouse, a boss, whatever, there are times when I think that's a valid choice to make. So that's one of them. There have been a few times that I have done something and then just, taken the consequences later. And a few times it's worked out for the good, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's just part of the deal. Another thing I've come to understand over time that I wish I had understood earlier was not to make decisions based in fear or emotion. I made almost every decision I ever made from the time I was 10 years old to the time I was 40, probably, based in either emotion or fear. I wasn't analytical about how I made my decisions, how I looked at things. And the older I got, especially, I don't know why, a lot of this goes back to when I was a cop. Being a cop changed the way I thought about things. I saw the results of other people's emotional decisions. And I thought, I've been doing that. Maybe I need to stop doing that and start thinking about things in a different way. So I really kind of applied myself and tried to make at least a few of my decisions based on logic and common sense instead of emotions or fear. And you know what? They turned out a little better. Who knew? So that's something that I don't know if a lot of men get caught up in that as much as we ladies do, but we're kind of emotional creatures, women are. I think more so than a lot of guys. And so I think that's a bigger pitfall for us maybe than it is for the men. Maybe that doesn't happen to them quite so much. So it's just, you know, there are differences between us. So the next thing on my list is nothing is as good as a good marriage, and nothing is as bad as a bad one. You would think that I would have figured this out earlier in life. It took me a few bad ones to get those out of my system, and one good one to prove the huge amount of difference. And so my last marriage to Bill was a great marriage, and I didn't know at first how to even take it because I was used to having bad marriages. So it's kind of weird. It was a weird period of adjustment there. But, you know, it's true that a good relationship is heavenly, and a bad relationship is hellish. It's just the way it is. If you're at cross purposes with somebody and they don't respect you or love you enough to try and be a good person for you, then it makes life miserable. So, and fortunately, I did eventually get that figured out by, you know, practical experience through living it myself, which I didn't, before that I didn't know how bad relationships could be, because once you've compared the two, it's just like there's no no comparison. So I guess my takeaway from that would be never agree to participate in a cruddy relationship in the first place. Things you learn as you go along. Debt is nothing but voluntary indentured servitude. That's pretty self-explanatory. We enter into debt at the drop of a hat. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. In our culture, it's commonplace to be up to our eyeballs in debt and to owe more than we could hope to pay off in 100 years, you know, from our first credit card to our student loans, to our car purchases, to our mortgage, to that vacation home we want but don't really need, but don't have the cash sitting in the bank to buy. We tend to way overspend ourselves into trouble sometimes because we don't stop and think about the real cost of credit. And what I've learned over the years is that the real cost of credit isn't just the interest. It's giving up a lot of your freedoms in order to be able to bind yourself to the responsibility of taking care of that debt over the long term. And we're talking, you know, for your average mortgage these days, what is it, 30 years? A lot of people are signing on that dotted line, promising to keep coming up with this money month after month for 30 years. I guess there's nothing wrong with that if you want to live that way. But before anybody actually takes out a loan or, you know, runs up that credit card or buys that second place at the lake or whatever, you really should think it through and understand that by doing that to yourself, you are extending yourself, you're extending your own servitude, the term of your own servitude, to however long it is you sign on the dotted line to pay. So it's not just the money, it's not just the principal and the interest and the insurance and all that goes along with it. It's also your personal freedom of movement, making decisions, quitting jobs if you want to, starting a business. It affects all of that. And that's something that we don't generally think about too much. I never did, but I do now. You know, I've learned, but that was a lesson it took me a long time to learn. Shockingly, way too long to learn. And at this point, unless my life depended on it, I don't think I would go into debt again. And I can't imagine why my life would depend on it or how I would pay it if it did. So probably won't do it. I'm checking my list here, checking it twice. There's a certain level of acceptance in this next one. We should kind of try to live our lives as if this is the last day we have in our life. And I don't mean that in a maudlin or sad or negative or pessimistic way. What I mean is nothing's guaranteed, you know. There's nothing that says I'm going to be here tomorrow. And there's nothing that says I'm going to have another chance to take an opportunity that might show up today that I really want to take. So my current philosophy on that is, if there's something I really, really want to do, and I can do it without disrupting everybody, I'm going to do it. And if there's something that I really want to do that would disrupt everybody and everything in my sphere at this moment, then I have to stop and think about that as something that maybe is not going to happen. Maybe not now, maybe not ever. But if there's something that you're really drawn to do, whether it's read a book, see a movie, go to a concert, take a trip, try some new kind of food, make something for yourself, try watercolor painting, whatever it is, however large or small. If it's something you really want to do and you're not stepping on anybody else's toes to do it, then you probably should just do it, because you may not get another opportunity. On the other hand, you may, and you may get really good at whatever it is that you're trying, and it may turn into other opportunities for you down the road. But you can't assume that you have another opportunity coming, or another day, or another moment, because we don't know. I mean, you know, our days are numbered, and we don't know what that number is. All I know is, if I had known 5 years ago what I know now, I would have done things a little differently with Bill, because I kind of thought he would be around longer. And in retrospect, there are things I wish we had done that he wanted to do, but we just didn't do. You know, I would have been more encouraging to him. Yeah, let's go do that. Instead of saying, yeah, you're probably right. Maybe we'll do that later, you know. Seize the moment. What is it they say? Seize the day. You know, that's probably something that I wish I had learned a lot earlier in life. And certainly I wish that I had put into more practice with Bill when he was here. So anyway, those are just some of the things I think about that I've learned in my old age that I didn't know when I was younger. And I'm sure that you have similar experiences and things that you've learned. So if you would like to tell me about those, I'd be happy to read them. So leave your comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for watching. Bye.